For years, the 16-8 pattern was treated as the king of intermittent fasting. Influencers swore it was the perfect method: simple, efficient, foolproof. But what if I told you that science just proved the opposite? That the world's most popular fasting format is actually the least effective for losing fat. In 2025, a study published in the British Medical Journal turned the fasting world upside down. Researchers analyzed 99 studies with over 6,500 participants, and the results surprised even the experts. The 16-8 method, the most famous among intermittent fasting practitioners, ranked among the least effective for fasting for fat loss. Science showed that popularity doesn't always mean results. For years, 16-8 was seen as the perfect formula. But the new analysis revealed something unexpected. The alternate day fasting method delivered almost twice as much weight loss. That's because when the body has a full day without food, it activates deeper processes of regeneration and fat burning. Studies indicate that this pattern provides metabolic health benefits that 16-8 simply can't match. Think about Laura, 42 years old, who had tried fasting every day without success. After switching to ADF, she noticed rapid changes, more focus, less hunger, and a lightness she hadn't felt in months. Nothing miraculous, just biology being respected. But what gives this conclusion so much strength? The answer lies in the weight of the scientific evidence supporting it all. When a study gathers nearly 100 different analyses, it carries a weight that goes far beyond opinions or trends. This review from the British Medical Journal didn't look at fitness influencers. It focused on real people, men and women with overweight, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. That brought a more honest picture of the intermittent fasting results, without filters, without glamour. The goal wasn't to prove that fasting works, but to understand how the body reacts under different clinical conditions. And what the data revealed is that alternate day fasting has a consistent impact on metabolism, even in those dealing with insulin resistance. This consistency suggests that fasting for fat loss goes far beyond aesthetics. It's deeply connected to metabolic health. It's the kind of evidence that shifts paradigms. Because when science studies what happens in ordinary people instead of athletes, the discoveries gain real power. From that point on, it becomes clear that it's not just about the scale. It's about the metabolic health benefits that transform the body from the inside out. To truly understand the intermittent fasting results, scientists compared 5 very different approaches. They analyzed the classic time-restricted eating, 16-8, whole day fasting, 5-2, alternate day fasting, ADF, continuous calorie restriction, CCR, and a control group that followed no restrictions at all. Each strategy was monitored for several weeks, and in some cases, for an entire year. These 5 methods revealed just how adaptable the human body can be. In the 16-8 pattern, eating windows were fixed. In 5-2, 2 days per week involved a significant calorie cut. ADF alternated between normal eating days and full fasting days. CCR followed the traditional path, eating less every day. 5 different ways to chase the same goal: fasting for fat loss and improved metabolic health benefits. What surprised researchers was how small variations in fasting patterns triggered completely different metabolic responses. While some methods merely maintained weight, others transformed metabolism in measurable ways. And that's where the ranking no one expected began, the one where ADF simply pulled far ahead. When the results were compared side by side, the difference became clear. Alternate day fasting led with an average of 7.5 pounds lost. Next came the 5-2 diet with 5 pounds, continuous calorie restriction with 4.5, and the famous 16-8 came last with only 3.5. For those expecting miracles, it was a shock. The most popular method delivered the smallest result, but the number alone doesn't tell the whole story. Researchers observed that ADF maintained a more consistent fat-burning rate throughout the weeks. The body adapted better, metabolism didn't stall, and the metabolic health benefits appeared in a more balanced way. That explains why many people report stable focus and energy levels with this pattern. Imagine someone who spent months believing in 16-8 and then discovers there's a pattern twice as effective. It's like training hard only to realize the real secret was in recovery, not in the workout itself. So, if a DF performed this well, what does that really mean? In practice, the study revealed something that changes everything. It's not about losing weight quickly. It's about reaching the point where the body truly begins to improve from within. The scientists used a clinical threshold, 4.5 pounds, about 2 kilograms. Below that, the metabolic benefits are almost invisible. Above it, the real metabolic health benefits begin with more stable blood sugar, lower cholesterol, and better blood pressure control. And here's the key detail. The 16-to-8 pattern, so celebrated on social media, didn't reach that mark. But alternate day fasting exceeded it with ease. This means that, beyond delivering visible intermittent fasting results, it changes clinical parameters that define real health. The body doesn't just feel lighter, it becomes more efficient. Think of someone dealing with blood sugar spikes, bloating, or constant fatigue. Even small amounts of weight loss can trigger a positive chain reaction. It's the body responding to balance, not deprivation. And now that you understand the real impact behind the numbers, the inevitable question arises. Why does alternate fasting work so much better? The secret lies in timing. When the body spends 24 hours without external energy intake, it's forced to draw on its internal fuel reserves, and that's where fasting for fat loss truly happens. First, glycogen stores are depleted. Then, the body activates what's known as the metabolic switch, shifting from burning sugar to burning fat. This is pure physiology, not a passing trend. This fuel shift also brings broader metabolic health benefits. Studies show improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, and greater efficiency in nutrient utilization. It's like swapping a gas engine for a hybrid. The body learns to save energy without constantly depending on food. Think about that, eating less but living with more energy. Beyond the physical, there's a powerful mental component to all this. As the body adapts to the alternating fasting cycle, the brain also reprograms itself. Hunger stops being an emergency and becomes a choice. And perhaps it's that very simplicity that explains why so many people adapt so well to ADF. But what about the psychological side of this discipline? That's where the study delivers an unexpected insight. One of the greatest strengths of alternate day fasting is its simplicity. While daily fasting forces you to think about food constantly, what to eat, when to stop, when to start again. ADF divides everything into a clear mental pattern. Today, I eat. Tomorrow, I don't. That clarity removes decision fatigue and reduces mental strain, which is essential for maintaining focus and achieving consistent intermittent fasting results. The brain loves simple rules. They save energy and strengthen discipline. It's the same principle used by people who train on alternate days or set fixed hours for sleep. The habit becomes automatic, and when fasting turns into routine, the metabolic health benefits appear as a natural consequence. You feel more in control, less guilty, and paradoxically, freer. But it's not all about willpower. It's about creating a mental environment where the right choice becomes the easiest one. One day at a time, without fighting food, just negotiating with it. And that's where a new question emerges. If the method is so effective, why do the results slow down over time? Even the best methods face a common enemy: time. In the study, the results from alternate day fasting lasted about 6 months before starting to plateau. Not because the body got used to it, but because people stopped following the protocol. Adherence, which was high at first, dropped drastically. That's the real challenge behind any intermittent fasting results: maintaining consistency in the 5-to-2 group. For example, adherence fell from 74% in 6 weeks to just 22% after a year. This shows that the problem isn't with fasting for fat loss itself, but with modern life, full of distractions, commitments, and temptations around every corner. When life speeds up, meal planning is usually the first thing to go. And that's exactly where discipline needs to be reinvented. Small adjustments, like including a light meal day between fasts or using reminder apps, can help keep the rhythm, because in the end, consistency beats intensity. But even when weight stabilizes, the body keeps changing from the inside, and it's in those metabolic improvements that ADF truly stands out. Not all progress shows up on the scale. In the study, alternate day fasting brought internal changes that even surprised the researchers. Even with modest weight loss, tests showed significant reductions in total cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL. Blood sugar and insulin levels also improved, revealing intermittent fasting results that went far beyond aesthetics. These effects translate into powerful metabolic health benefits: more energy upon waking, less drowsiness after meals, and better focus throughout the day. When the body uses fat more efficiently, it starts functioning with greater stability, without energy spikes or crashes. It's like trading a metabolic roller coaster for a smooth, predictable road. What's most interesting is that these improvements appear even in people who didn't lose many pounds. In other words, fasting for fat loss is only part of the story. The true impact of ADF lies in restoring internal balance, something you don't see but definitely feel. Still, there are external factors that can sabotage all this progress, and two of them deserve special attention: sleep and stress. Poor sleep and chronic stress can destroy even the most promising intermittent fasting results. That's because the body interprets short nights and constant tension as a threat, releasing more cortisol, the alert hormone, and when cortisol rises, it blocks fasting for fat loss and throws the entire metabolism off balance. It's like trying to drive with the handbrake on. Studies show that people who sleep less than 6 hours per night lose up to 50% less fat during fasting. The reason is simple. The body enters self-protection mode, holding on to energy and stimulating appetite. Chronic stress, on the other hand, reduces insulin sensitivity, erasing much of the metabolic health benefits that alternate day fasting usually provides. The solution isn't just to sleep more, but to sleep better. Small habits, such as reducing blue light exposure at night, avoiding coffee after 4 p.m., and taking deep breaths before bed, help the body understand that it's time to power down, because fasting without rest is just another form of exhaustion. But there's another silent factor that also shapes your results: the biological clock. Science has begun to discover that it's not just how long you fast that matters, it's also when you fast. Recent studies show that aligning fasting with the circadian rhythm produces even more consistent intermittent fasting results. Eating earlier in the day and fasting at night helps the body follow its internal clock, optimizing hormones and reducing nighttime hunger. During daylight hours, metabolism is at its peak, digestion is more efficient, insulin sensitivity is higher, and energy expenditure increases. At night, everything slows down. That's why alternate day fasting or protocols that prioritize daytime meals tend to generate better metabolic health benefits. It's basic biology. The body performs best when the sun is awake. A simple example: having dinner at 6 p.m. and starting your fast from there. This reduces blood sugar impact, improves sleep, and prepares the body for the next cycle. Small timing changes can lead to big differences in results. But of course, before adopting any fasting protocol, it's essential to talk about safety and understand what science has actually found about potential side effects. One of the good pieces of news is that alternate day fasting has proven to be surprisingly safe for most people. More than half of the studies reviewed reported no adverse effects at all. In the remaining ones, the reported symptoms were mild and temporary. A bit of hunger, dizziness, or headaches during the first few weeks. These are signs of adaptation, not of real danger. The body needs time to understand it's not in danger. It's like teaching an old engine to run on new fuel. After that initial adjustment, metabolism tends to stabilize, and the metabolic health benefits begin to emerge. Studies suggest that for healthy adults, fasting for fat loss through alternate fasting is just as safe as a traditional low-calorie diet. Of course, there are important exceptions. People with diabetes, pregnant women, or those with a history of eating disorders should consult a professional before starting any fasting protocol. The goal is never to force the body, but to cooperate with it. And for each person, there's an ideal rhythm. So how do you find which method fits your goals best? There's no single path to fasting for fat loss. Every body responds differently, and each person has their own goals. Studies show that alternate day fasting is the most effective for fast results, especially during the first 3 months. Meanwhile, those seeking consistency and lightness over the long term may adapt better to the 5-2 method, or a daily calorie deficit. The ideal choice also depends on lifestyle. People who work in shifts or have unpredictable schedules might prefer modified versions, allowing up to 500 calories on fasting days. These variations maintain part of the intermittent fasting results while offering greater psychological comfort. After all, consistency comes from balance, not sacrifice. For some, Shorter eating windows like 18 to 6 or 22 for work better. For others, alternating days is the key to staying on track. The most important thing is to understand your own rhythm and adjust it to fit your routine. There's no perfect method, only the one you can sustain. And that's why many experts suggest combining phases to get the best of both worlds. One of the smartest strategies is to treat fasting as a cycle, not as a fixed rule. Alternate day fasting can serve as an initial phase, capable of producing fast and motivating intermittent fasting results. After 10 to 12 weeks, transitioning to a 16 to 8 schedule or a mild daily calorie deficit helps maintain results without exhaustion. It's the bridge between intensity and sustainability. This phased model is common in physical training, and it makes perfect sense here. The body responds well to varied stimuli, and alternating protocols prevents it from becoming complacent. This way, metabolism stays active, metabolic health benefits last longer, and fasting for fat loss becomes more predictable. It's not about changing the method, it's about mastering the rhythm. It works like learning a language first, full immersion, then light and consistent practice. This alternation reduces mental stress and keeps the body responsive. And the best part, you learn to use fasting to your advantage instead of becoming a prisoner of it. At the end of the day, fasting isn't a race, it's a long-term strategy. Every method can work, but only if there's consistency. Alternate day fasting delivers quick intermittent fasting results, but the real secret lies in repeating the process until it becomes part of your lifestyle. Intensity creates change, consistency creates transformation, and when that happens, the metabolic health benefits become clear. Less inflammation, steadier energy, and better appetite control. Nothing extreme, nothing miraculous, just the body working the way it's meant to. Every choice, every meal, every fast is a conversation with your metabolism. Embrace the process, keep the lessons. They're worth more than any number on the scale. In the end, the question isn't which method is best, but which one can you maintain? Because the best plan is the one you stick to, even on difficult days. Once that mindset sets in, fasting stops being a diet and becomes a habit of self-control and clarity. And if there's a greater power than that, I haven't found it yet. This content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Results may vary. Always consult a healthcare professional before making drastic changes to your diet or training routine. And of course, if you want to keep learning about fasting, metabolism, and real strategies to optimize your body, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the next video might be the one that finally unlocks your journey.